The development path of Dying Light the Beast presents an unusual trajectory in the gaming industry, evolving from planned additional content to a fully independent release. Initially, Techland, the franchise's developer, conceived the project as the second major expansion pack for Dying Light 2 Stay Human. The proposal was to expand the already established narrative and world, continuing the saga in Vildor. However, the plans were significantly altered during production, redefining the scope and direction of what would become this new chapter in the series. The transformation from DLC to a standalone game was driven by a combination of internal and external factors. One of the crucial elements was the leak of information about the main story of the additional content by a data miner in 2023. This event forced the development team to reevaluate its strategy. Instead of simply proceeding with the original plan, Techland chose to expand the creative vision. Realizing that the ideas under development were robust enough to sustain a complete and separate experience, allowing for greater creative freedom without the constraints of connecting directly to Dying Light 2. One of the central aspects that defined the new direction of the project was the decision to bring back Kyle Crane, the protagonist of the first Dying Light. According to the franchise director Timon Smektawa, the idea of Crane's return was met with great enthusiasm internally. This choice not only fulfilled a frequent request from the fan community, but also allowed the developers to explore a more focused and linear narrative. Unlike the multiple paths and choices structure of Dying Light 2, The Beast was designed to offer a more direct and controlled story, concentrating on Crane's personal journey. With the decision to become a full game, the development team also took the opportunity to readjust the gameplay focus. The stated intention was to recapture the feeling of fear and the emphasis on survival that marked the first game in the series. This is reflected in mechanics such as reduced durability of weapons and vehicles, forcing players to adapt their strategies and feel a greater sense of vulnerability. Although the game's natural setting offers fewer opportunities for the extensive parkour seen in urban environments, the locations were designed so that Crane's characteristic agility is still essential for progression. Dying Light the Beast is a standalone game that takes place 13 years after the events of the first Dying Light, bringing back the protagonist Kyle Crane as the central focus of the narrative. The game explores Crane's fate after the DLC The Following from the original game. The story returns to the post-apocalyptic universe infested with zombies, where the Heron virus continues to shape the world, and Crane emerges as a figure transformed by brutal experiments, mixing elements of revenge, survival, and psychological terror. In the context of the series, the plot of The Beast connects directly to the events of Dying Light from 2015, where Kyle Crane, an agent of the Global Relief Effort, GRE, is sent to the city of Heron, Turkey, to recover sensitive documents about the zombie virus. Infected shortly after arriving, Crane allies himself with survivors in the tower, using anti-Zin to suppress the infection, while betraying allies to get closer to the antagonist Rays. He discovers that the GRE plans to weaponize the virus, and in the canonical ending, Crane kills Rays, delivers research for a cure to Dr. Camden, and remains in Heron as a protector, preventing a bombing. The DLC The Following, essential to understanding The Beast, follows Crane investigating a rural cult near Heron that promises a cure. He discovers that the cult's elixir does not cure, but transforms the infected into sentient volatiles who maintain human consciousness during the day. Confronted by the Mother, the cult's leader, Crane defeats her in the canonical ending, but is forced to consume the elixir, transforming into a conscious volatile creature. This mutation leaves him in a limbo between human and monster, setting the stage for his subsequent capture. After The Following, Crane is captured by a figure known as the Baron, a mysterious scientist possibly linked to the GRE, who subjects him to painful experiments for over a decade. These tests alter his DNA, granting him superhuman abilities such as bestial strength and partial control over his volatile form, especially at night. Crane's altered eye, similar to that of a volatile, symbolizes this incomplete transformation, making him a beast who struggles to maintain his humanity while dealing with monstrous impulses. The main narrative of The Beast begins with Crane's escape from captivity, driven by a quest for revenge against the Baron and those who tortured him. Set in the infested region of Castor Woods, Crane explores a new open map, forms fragile alliances with survivors, and confronts hordes of infected, while managing his internal duality. An agile human by day and a relentless beast by night. The story emphasizes Crane's psychological conflict, who must balance his thirst for retaliation with the risk of completely losing himself to the inner beast. Although it takes place before the events of Dying Light 2 Stay Human, which occurs 22 years after the first game, the beast reinforces the franchise's lore, confirming that the Heron virus escapes and causes the global fall of humanity, with the GRE continuing secret experiments. Crane, by surviving and evolving, could indirectly influence the world of DL2, where everyone in Heron is presumed dead, but his journey in the beast explores themes of redemption and the thin line between hero and monster, without altering the established canon. The central focus of the game is dynamic exploration, combining enhanced parkour to climb structures, jump over obstacles, and solve environmental puzzles, allowing for fluid movement integrated with combat, such as sliding through corridors or jumping between rooftops during escapes from hordes of infected. The combat system is brutal and visceral, emphasizing melee attacks that cause detailed dismemberments, bloody executions, and realistic damage, such as smashing skulls or exposing organs depending on the angle and type of weapon. Firearms such as pistols, rifles, and shotguns are available, but ammunition is scarce, encouraging strategic use to avoid attracting more enemies, while parkour can be incorporated for evasive maneuvers or surprise attacks. A key mechanic is the Beast Mode, a temporary transformation of Kyle that activates by accumulating damage or eliminating enemies, granting superhuman powers like flesh-ripping combos, sonic shockwaves, and predatory leaps with hooks. This ability is involuntary and divides the skill tree into human and beast sides, allowing for separate upgrades for crafting, movement, and bestial fury, making Crane a threat equivalent to the zombies. The day-night cycle remains fundamental, with the day prioritizing resource gathering, weapon crafting, and exploration of infected nests, while the night requires a stealth approach, with predators like volatiles that hunt in packs and require distractions such as fireworks or decoys for evasion. The Survivor sense allows for detecting nearby enemies and items, facilitating tactical planning in dark or dense forest environments. Vehicles like dirt bikes and customized trucks add a layer of mobility, allowing players to traverse mountainous roads, run over zombies, and access remote areas, integrating naturally with exploration and the narrative. These elements combine with random events, such as encounters with survivors needing help, and safe zones for rest, crafting, and protection against nightly invasions. Progression involves looting abandoned houses, factories, and ruins, with an emphasis on resource management for upgrades and survival against mutations like agile virals or experimental chimeras. The game encourages choices between aggressive or stealthy approaches, with psychic echo points scattered for narrative immersion, maintaining constant tension in a map interconnected by forests, farms, and research facilities. Dying Light the Beast features an art direction that returns to the darker roots of the franchise, abandoning the more colorful tones of Dying Light 2 in favor of a more oppressive and realistic visual palette. The game adopts heavy orange tones and deep blacks in the forest, creating an atmosphere of primitive horror that perfectly reflects the narrative's themes of revenge and hopelessness. This visual choice is not just aesthetic, but tells a story about a world filled with despair, where the desaturated and darker lighting conveys the feeling that there is no light at the end of the tunnel. The Beast's lighting system represents one of the most impressive aspects of the game, with dynamic weather patterns and audio-visual effects that make every moment feel unique. The game incorporates realistic day and night cycles that complement the experience, creating an extra sense of realism in the gameplay. During the nighttime, the darkness is particularly intense, especially in wild areas, with strategic light points like flaming barrels in urban areas to break the total darkness. The lighting leans towards cooler and more vibrant tones, with an abundance of blues and greens, reminiscent more of Dying Light 2 than expected, but still maintaining a darker and grittier color palette overall. The game implements cutting-edge graphics technologies, including full ray tracing and support for NVIDIA DLSS 4 with multi-frame generation. The game offers a complete suite of ray tracing effects that are enhanced by DLS's ray reconstruction, elevating the image quality to new heights. For players with GeForce RTX cards, the game supports DLS's frame generation and DLS's super resolution, ensuring optimized performance even with all the advanced visual effects enabled. These technologies work together to deliver next-generation visuals that bring the handcrafted zombie apocalypse to life with impressive detail. The visual redesign of the zombies and the beast represents a significant evolution in the franchise, with the developers seeking to make them more disturbing and realistic than ever before. The biters, the most common infected, have been completely redesigned to look more organic and decomposed, with wet and swollen skin instead of the previous mummified appearance. The game features over 110 variants of biters, including different body types and special versions that introduce unique gameplay challenges. The chimeras, the new experimental creatures created by the Baron, are true works of technical art, with the artists studying medical illustrations and anatomical models to understand muscles, tissues, and overall body structure, resulting in monsters that blend visual realism with gameplay function. The main setting of Castor Woods represents a visually stunning cinematic playground, replacing the urban density of Heron and Villador with lush forests and black bodies of water that wash the shores of mountain towns. The environments have been handcrafted with meticulous attention to detail, where every visual element tells a story of survival. The world feels more grounded and realistic in how it presents the environments, with the forest offering a unique visual experience in the franchise. The natural beauty of the Castor Woods Valley contrasts dramatically with the danger it represents, creating a powerful visual dichotomy between natural majesty and apocalyptic horror. Compared to previous games in the series, the Beast demonstrates significant improvements in all visual aspects, featuring sharper graphics, more detailed environments, and richer effects. The game uses next-generation visuals that surpass both the original Dying Light and its sequel, with a greater number of visible damage zones on enemies, up to 12 on biters and virals, with even more on the larger creatures. The progressive damage system allows wounds to visibly open, blood to splatter, and destruction to spread across the enemy's bodies, creating a visual spectacle of gore that reinforces the impact of the player's attacks. This technical evolution represents the developer's most refined mastery of the engine, delivering the most visually impressive Dying Light experience to date. Honestly, I would recommend waiting at least a few weeks after launch before buying Dying Light the Beast. The $60 price tag is pretty steep for what started as an expanded DLC, and historically, Techland games tend to have some technical issues at launch that are fixed in the first few patches. Considering there will be no physical version available initially, there's no real rush to secure a copy, and you can take the opportunity to see the community's first impressions before investing. There's the issue of a full AAA price for something that offers about 20 hours of main campaign. Although the previews are positive and praise the return to the haunted atmosphere of the first game, waiting a few weeks could result in sales or at least a more polished product after the first corrective patches. For newcomers to the franchise, I'd say this isn't the ideal entry point. While it's technically standalone, the story and emotional impact of Kyle Crane's return will be completely lost if you haven't played at least the first Dying Light. It's like starting to read a book at chapter 10. You might understand the basics, but you lose all the emotional and contextual buildup. Players who prefer more casual experiences or who get scared easily should think twice. Everything indicates that the Beast will go all in on body horror and graphic violence, possibly being the bloodiest in the series. The focus on an isolated rural atmosphere and Kyle's solitude also means less social interaction and more constant psychological tension. The game is also not ideal for those looking for innovation or revolutionary mechanics. The Beast is essentially more of the same, but better executed. If you didn't enjoy the formula of the previous games of parkour plus melee combat plus day and night cycle, this one won't change your opinion about the series. It's a game made primarily to satisfy existing fans, not to win over new audiences. Well, that was the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you in the next video.
Quiet. This better work.